Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk to you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone. 'Neath the halo of a street lamp, I turned my collar to the cold and damp, when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs that voices never share, and no one dared disturb the sound of silence. Fool, said I, you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. But my words, like silent raindrops, fell, echo in the wells of silence. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made, and the sign flashed out its warning in the words that it was forming. And the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls, whispered in the sound of silence.
What's up, everybody? Hope everybody got to watch that little video. I shared that before, starting to make them, getting a little bit better on them. I got some new pictures of the girls, and as I told the person who sent them to me today, I think the more pictures of them that we could get out in the public in front of people, we just need someone to come forward. We really, really do. Arson is a thing. It's really hard to catch people doing it. A lot of times you have to catch them in the act. Obviously, that didn't happen here, but, there's people that if you're involved or that you could reach out and talk to and unburden yourself. By unburdening yourself, you'd be helping a lot of other people. Galen, her family, Aunt Jackie, Uncle Tracy, to the girls, or Grandpapa should say. It's there. So anything please reach out. Firefighter wise, I've been there. I did what you guys did that night. I've done it several times. That stays with you. So unload it, and it's a brave thing to do, to come forward. If you know something, it's a brave thing to do. So my little, thing there to anyone that might ever watch this that might want to reach out. Nothing on the air. Everything, would be private, and any help that you would give would come from me as a tip. So, anyways, Flora, right? A lot of stuff's going on. I don't have any comments or anything yet, question wise, but anything that you do want to ask, or later on, if you watch a replay and you ask, I'll do my best to answer everything you got. One of the things I'd like to start with is read you guys something here. Very good thing. Obviously, we know Meow. I call her. She's like the librarian of Flora as far as the information and everything that she has, that she's acquired. People have sent her stuff. She's done a ton of investigating. So a lot of us lean to her with any kind of data or files or things like that. And as I get stuff, I always send her stuff. I have a couple people that are very, very nice to share information with me. And I hope that those few people to do that continue to do it. But if I could read something, and Meow has on Reddit, it's called the Flora 4. I used to go on Reddit all the time. Now I'm here or there. If you're a fan of The Sopranos, I recommend The Sopranos Reddit thread. It's just a bunch of jokes and lines from the movie. But, when I first got into the true crime thing, and like a lot of other people, the algorithms kicked me to Delphi. Which was great, because look at all the progress that's been made on that case. And you can't tell me that wasn't because of the pressure that not just YouTube, but the news, your Fox 59s, we'll talk about them later. The places like that just want to see justice and make sure that everything's on the up and up. And I think we have a way to go in Delphi yet to figure out exactly what happened there, but we're on the path. And if we could do that with Flora, where every time someone looks up true crime, Flora comes up. The more eyes, the better. And I understand the police, and I've talked to Ruckus about this before, where people will call and admit to crimes that they didn't commit, which to the normal person seems absolutely absurd. But to these people that are mentally ill, so they clog up the investigation. So that's why they keep stuff back and don't keep stuff back. But as we'll get into the 911 tape in a little bit. But Meow put together something really good here, and it just lists a bunch of things. So if I could read this real fast, and it's on the Flora 4 Reddit. I'll put a link in my community page to it. If anyone isn't on it, there's a lot of good stuff. I'm still figuring out Discord. I'm on it. If anyone's on it, I don't know if you sent friend requests there or not, or if you did and I didn't see it. But I'm having a heck of a time. So I'm going to have to ask one of my sons to help me figure that out. But just more ways, more platforms to get the word out. So again, Meow put all this together. I believe this looks like a news report. But basically, the gist of it was that arson termination and DHS fought. Just so we're clear on a lot of different things here. When Dennis Randall was saying, multiple accelerants everywhere there's accelerants. Well, that's not what the other investigators have found. Jinx is here. Hi, Jinx. No pun intended. Hi, Jinx. Jinx is like Dave. Where you at, Dave? In all the big chats, when I check her out, there was a good Frank and Marv had a really good chat the other day with Ruckus was on. I can't remember who else. The Prof. I can't remember who else, but it was really good talking about Keegan Klein and what may be going on there. That's a whole nother can of worms. I'm not an expert or very experienced in that. So when Ruckus says, hey, I think this is what's happened, I tend to believe him. Deals are being made. But anyways, back to this here. And again, Meow, our librarian of Flora, she's just a wealth of knowledge on everything. So it begins where it's Ives talking. One of the worst things to ever happen in Carroll County, might be the worst. He also talks, about Delphi. And he says, I don't recall that I was contacted, Ives revealed. I want publicity around this case because I want it to be solved, Ives said, explaining why he agreed to sit down for an interview. So this is someone getting interviewed. So basically, when he says Randall, this is Dennis Randall. This is the old man who was started out as a cop of some sort and became a fire investigator, or what we call in our area, fire marshal. And in different states is different. So basically, from what I gather in Indiana, if you work on a county level, you could kind of move around from being a cop to a fire marshal and things like that. So that's kind of how this happened. Now, he's not allowed to be a cop anymore. No one will say why that is, but they don't do that to just anybody, right? Okay, so we'll continue to dig around him a little bit and see what we can find out. Randall wanted to send out a release announcing the arson at the end of the day on Friday, January 27th. So this would have been, about 2 months after, a little bit over 2 months after the fire. A DHS, that's Department of Homeland Security, communication staffer tried to persuade him to wait, possibly into the following Monday. And in quotations, we are taking each of the rooms and looking at them independently to look at all the possible causes, State Fire Marshal Jim Greason said hours after the fire. It was the last time Greason spoke about the case. At first, the Indiana Fire Marshal investigator thought the wiring behind the refrigerator had started the fire. So we've heard that before initially. Wiring behind the refrigerator, there may have been reports of appliances not working. So that's common. Hey, you have any issues? Was there arcing? Was anything? Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to look at that first. So after 10 weeks of investigation, Randall and his team, which, that's up for debate, because was the fire department investigating this? Was a fire chief who was running the fire investigating the cause of the fire? Because that don't jive. That's not how it should be. You as a firefighter, your job once you extinguish the fire is to talk to investigators. We have fire marshals, and usually they want to talk to the incident commander, or the deputy chief, or the acting deputy chief for us, and they want to talk to the initial fireman that went in and knocked the fire down. Not the guy standing at the pump necessarily, unless he saw something that was like, hey, I need to tell you this or whatever. So they want to know the initial team. Was the door, questions you get asked, were the doors open? Were they already open? What were the flames doing? Was it hot? Did you notice anything that was just out of the ordinary? Color of flames, kind of smoke, anything that you can tell them to help them decide, okay, this is what might have been burning. This might have been the cause. Fire was heavy in this room. It wasn't as heavy here. And you could walk in a house and instantly almost see, maybe it's just a fireman thing, but you could instantly see, okay, this is where this was really hot at. You'll see alligatoring and charring on the walls. So alligatoring is basically looks like an alligator's back. And that's what wood looks like. Old wood, not old wood, but thick wood. Stuff that's going to take forever to eventually fail, like the beams we have in a lot of our houses. So the alligator, it's like a charring. And then you'll see a V. So if the fire starts here, as it develops, it goes like this. So you're looking for a V, literally, and that could be a point of origin. Usually it is a point of origin. Okay, moving on. 10 weeks of investigating. Team released a report ruling the fire was set intentionally. Accelerants found in several locations of the structure. However, a big part of the state's published findings were wrong. So basically, Dennis Randall was full of shit with multiple accelerants being around the house. Now, one of the things that he goes off of is Ayers, the landlord, who said he saw a stream of a couple inches thick running through the middle of the house that was on fire, which would obviously detect someone, lit an accelerant and went through the house. They can light it up. However, usually it doesn't usually happen like that. So if you would spray a stream of gasoline and light it on fire, yeah, it might have. It's eventually will go ahead and it will follow that. Or if you use diesel fuel, but it's going to start catching other stuff on fire too. So the only way he'd be able to see that stream is if he was there initially whenever that was lit. And I'm not saying at all that was the case. Actually, I don't think it was. So I think maybe whether he was trying to maybe cover up something that maybe the house wasn't up to code or up to spec, or he was just excited, or he's full of shit. Always possible, right? The fire was considered, so anyways, they called bullshit on that. The fire was still considered arson, but the state police now admits accelerants were not found all over the house, really, rather in one spot. One day after exposing the air publicly, Randall resigned. They said they went to his home and they asked him, hey, do you think you do anything wrong? He replied, myself? I don't believe so. Myself? I don't believe so. You guys know I'm an amateur to the assistant profiler. Myself? I don't believe so. That tells me a lot. This guy has a massive ego. He doesn't even say me. He says myself. Who is he? The Rock? You know what I mean? Talking like this is crazy. But anyways, that tells me what I think I know. He has a overinflated ego. And, if he ever will want to come on and talk or debate, I'd love to have him. I'd love to hear from him, to hear his side of the story. Because everything that I've seen so far leads me to believe that this guy, for whatever reason, he's either totally full of shit or is really bad at his job. And some of us are bad at our jobs and shouldn't have them. But, this is just, some of this is insane. He said he followed a nationally recognized guide for fire investigations. Do not believe he made any mistakes. But should Randall have been assigned to the Flora case in the first place? Now, Meow goes in to talk about how the different people that he was working with, one of the ISP police officers, I don't want to say his name because everyone probably knows it, Detective Edwards, but he was the one that investigated Dennis Randall's wife who stole about $100,000. Yeah, family enterprise, right? They're not necessarily the Sopranos, but looks like everyone has their hand in some piece of the pie a little bit here. Let's see. Sorry. Oh, yeah. I do. I like Johnny Cash a lot, and I was looking for something slower. I wanted that because the sound of silence, there's too much silence. Someone's being. Cleo's here. Hi, Cleo. Yeah, out of a different time. I don't know, Cleo. Hopefully they show up. Or, worst case, like I said, they could comment after and I'll get back. It's definitely a different time. And the reason I went 7:30 tonight is the national championship basketball is on tonight. I don't know how many of you watch basketball, but said I wanted to get out of here before then. 4 Pitbulls said I did my job like you did yours. I've never had one. Yeah, well, I don't know if you're talking about me or Dennis Randall, but if it's Dennis Randall, I would agree. If it's me, I would disagree, but you're certainly entitled to your opinion, and I'm okay with that. Hi, Cleo. Yeah, I know what you're saying. So anyways, let's go back to this here again. Let me read a little bit more of this for you. So a staffer this is an email that they actually found. Denny, please review them. It's getting late in the day, so I'm sure this will not go out today. It might need to wait for better coverage. So this guy is telling the staffer, hey, there's Dave. Dave. Lipsha. I hope I said that right. Yeah. Hi, Lipsha. I'm trying to go back and forth here. Maybe one day I'll get my girlfriend who just came to have some of my burrito tacos to be like Mrs. Steve and help me out because I'm Barney Rubble when it comes to technology. So he sends out this release. So this guy's like, we're not going to get any publicity, right? So Randall's probably like, yeah, maybe that's what I want to do. That's how I take it. So Randall sent out the release anyway on a Saturday afternoon when no one was around to talk about the huge development. Indiana State Police was the lead agency at the time. It was in the dark too. Ives had asked Indiana State Police to take over the case earlier. So I have 2 friends. One of them's Meow, one of them's Ruckus. One of them likes Ives, one of them doesn't. And again, I'm fine with, people and their different opinions. And, you might not like one creator, and maybe I don't have a problem with them. I get information from them. I respect everybody's opinion, and I don't want to get involved in anyone's personal anything. If it's about the case, I'm in. If it's not, I'm not really care. So if I'm on with someone and then someone else doesn't like them, no offense to anybody, but if I think they could get some good information out, I would meet with some heinous people. I would meet with some heinous motherfuckers, really, if I thought I could get some information out of it. Look at all the guys that the Mind Hunters did, that your John Douglases and Wrestler. They sat down with the worst human beings in the American history, and they got information and figured out a way I could pick your rotted, diseased brain and maybe save someone down the line or help catch other people. And again, that's what all brought me to everything here, was that the criminal psychology angle. Pitbulls, and we told Randall, well, we could agree there. Yeah, I don't know. Pitbulls, he was kind of like a guy that fell up the steps. He was so bad. Usually people that they fell down. They fell down the steps. Well, this guy was clumsy, but he fell up the steps. So maybe he had friends in high places. Thank you, Jink. Yeah, and Julie Ruckus a lot. He did something with the prof today, who I'm just seeing for the first time. He seems like a cool guy too. Everybody's, your heart's in the right place. You can have a head of rocks, really. If your heart's in the right place, I'm okay with you. The fall behind the scenes was immediate. So this is after the email was sent, a horseshit email, which, I don't know how he put things in a hat and pulled one out and said this was the cause. So anyways, Randall says there's accelerants everywhere. No, everyone else says no, there isn't. Doug Carter says the release was premature because the ATF had yet to get evidence back. So the ATF also has a computer program, or Department of Homeland Defense, federal, and it can actually determine the fire spread and the growth and things like that. And I think Meow has more data on that. That is fascinating to me. And they could just say, well, hey, based on what this was saying, that could not have happened. Could not have happened that way. So working on getting that computer data, but this is the technology that they have. And again, why would you use that technology? You should use that technology on an abandoned house that catches on fire, that no one gets hurt and there's very limited damage. We have a fire where it's considered arson. It's a murder of 4 little girls, and you don't run the computer model. You put a press release out on Saturday. You are attempting to slide something through. There's no two ways about it. There's no, oh, I was Saturday. No. You're full of shit. You're even told that no, this is not going to get any play because it's Saturday, and then Sunday paper. Most of those papers already made up. You don't watch the news on Sundays as much. Well, if it's Monday, lunchtime at noon, boom, we have a big thing. This guy says this is what happened. This is a huge fire. One of the worst things that ever happened in this county. Private investigator also contacted the Department of Homeland following the press release, urging them to reconsider Randall's position as chief investigator. He did not receive a response from the Department of Homeland Security. The press release by the state fire marshal about the conclusions of the investigation are not correct, completely based on speculation, not evidence. He also was, I read a quote somewhere else, I don't have it here, where he said he didn't use the scientific method. And that is like the biggest diss you can say. That would be like calling, like if you were blood and you called a crip a crab or a blood a slob. That's fighting terms in the fire investigative world. I found that out from a local fire marshal. I said, yeah, he said he didn't use the science or scientific method. And this guy was like, whoa, he really said that? And yeah, he said it publicly in an email. And he was like, wow, that's when you're going after somebody. Randall's statement about accelerants being discovered in several locations is absolutely not based on any evidence discovered at the scene during the investigation. Investigator Dennis Randall was not performing a proper origin and cause investigation based on the current procedures. He went on to ask for Randall to be removed from the case. They showed both letters to the superintendent Carter. This was in an interview. You could find, I'll put this interview on my community page. Carter said, I don't know about this, but I'll find out. Who was surprised by the contents. Then they showed it to Ives. Ives never saw the letter. If I'm not mistaken, it was like a week after that, within a week, within 10 days for sure, that Randall resigns. So this was sent to the Department of Homeland Security, right? That's a pretty big office. Now, I'm pretty sure that in Indiana is still a state office. I could be mistaken. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong. But I think that could be still a state office, not necessarily a federal one. So is it the federal one? And again, it's the ISP and the feds arguing. So we'll have to get total clarification on that. But Ives, now again, Meow goes back and says, Ives, he resigned, but he said that ISP should be taking this from the door. Carroll County never, ever should have had this case. So I respect him for that. And in Ruckus, what he says was, well, he should have saw the case out. And Ives actually said that if the cases were moving forward to court, this in Delphi, that he would not have resigned. So you could see both sides of the coin there. This guy's conflicted. Did he make mistakes? Ives, he may have, probably. But he knew to get it out of their hands. And I just wish he would say, I want to get it out of their hands because these guys are full of shit, or these guys can't handle this investigation, or these guys are crooked, whatever it is. And I know it's hard for him to say that. And it's easy for us to sit here and say, listen, say it. But our lives aren't on the line. But I don't know. The state fire marshal considers, I believe, part of this task to look into the criminal aspect of the case. This is from Ives. But as far as I'm concerned, the lead investigative agency on this case is the Indiana State Police. So he told this was interviewed to 13 investigators. So basically, Dennis Randall is running around like, oh, I'm going to lead an investigation. Like, you can't even figure out the cause of the investigation. So there clearly wasn't information shared. There clearly was evidence destroyed during and after the fire. We've talked several times, and no one has been able to answer for me why you moved the bodies of 4 deceased human beings without them, anywhere that I can tell, being officially called or pronounced dead by a doctor, a paramedic. In cases here, let's say worst case scenario, and I've been there where an individual commits suicide. And you go in, you have to go in a window or something, no one can get in. So you go in a window and you're like, oh, there they are. They're obviously dead. I mean, they're clearly dead. That medic will still call a doctor at our local hospital and explain the situation and say, hey, I need you to call this person has a GSW to the head, and there's really not anything left. Uh-oh. Did everybody see okay? I hope so. Something happened to the stream. Hopefully not. Oh, is Johnny Cash playing in the background? I don't know. Let me know if Johnny Cash is playing. It shouldn't be. I don't know. Again, it's possible with me. Yeah. So, anyways, who says that? Now they said there's an Indiana law. There's an Indiana law. There's all kind of Indiana laws. There's an Indiana law where you have to form a temporary morgue. Okay. Well, let's say in that situation, that's an emergency. Okay, tornadoes, floods, and you have people's bodies. So, for instance, like what happened in New Orleans, right? There was just people's when the floodwaters receded. There was unfortunately people's bodies everywhere. They were in the water. So what you would do is you're not going to take all of them to a funeral home or a cemetery. Everyone's evacuated. You find a location where you could put them in a bag and you could give them some respect or dignity and then start beginning a way to identify them. Hey, how can we get people? If you're missing somebody, report here. We have a 40-year-old white male, 200 pounds, 5'10". Well, we have something close to that. Maybe we could send a picture. But this is evidence. So the one thing the guys in my department, when I tell them that part of the story, they're like, no way. There's no way. I have to show them video proof and show them the files and the data that I have that, yes, they did this. So once you know, now when they bring the girls out, I don't believe that they know that they're deceased. It appears to me that they're still in rescue mode, and you can't see what goes out. Frost. Okay, good. Because I when you told me that anything's possible when I'm doing a live. Okay. That's okay. You're all right. Frosty. I have nicknames for everyone, so I just automatically start. I had a friend named Frosty, called him Frosty, so I always say Frosty. But anyways, my guys cannot wrap their head around that. So that is what that law is for, not a simple house fire. So once you take them out, and now what do we transport them in? I think, was it Kennedy that asked the question? Because I'd love to know that too. I believe it was Kennedy. Let me go back up here that asked that. Yes, Kennedy did. And I think you've asked this in many, many lives that I've seen you in, mine and others. I don't know. I'd love to know. Was it put in an ambulance? Because if you're put in an ambulance, who transported? What ambulance driver transported? Because everyone involved in that move is in trouble. That's a crime. I mean, that is a crime. So we decide to take them from there. Horrible decision. Continuing with horrible decisions, let's put them on the floor of the fire station. I don't care if you put a sheet down. I don't care if you put a tarp down, whether they're laid on the floor. It doesn't matter. You've destroyed all that evidence. Anything that could have been on them is now no good. You got to understand the Florida fire station might be the most polluted place on the planet Earth. You have ashes from cigarettes, from cigars, tobacco spit, gasoline, hydraulic fluid, oil, kitty litter, oil dry, whatever else is leaking from the truck. It's unbelievable what's on that floor. So all those things now will be transported to their bodies at that point, which is considered basically what's evidence could help this. So that can't be explained. No one has ever addressed that. How the police department hasn't addressed that, it's baffling to me. And I'll ask police, I work tomorrow, if I were to do that, what would you do? And said, well, Kev, we'd have to arrest you because you know that you can't do that. So where I'm from in Pennsylvania, we put the fire department comes, we're in charge of the house. We put the fire. Once the fire's out, the investigative mode, it goes to the Allegheny County Fire Marshal. They are basically, they can have arrest powers. They're basically like law enforcement here. But there's investigators that come in. So if there's a death in the house, you'll get a homicide detective too. So it isn't a fire investigator doing this and doing that. Hey, Ruckus is here. And then from that point, if there's any investigation that needs to be done in that house is sealed. And they will do their investigation. They'll seal the house and then they'll leave. Yeah, people could break in, but most of the stuff is done. And you don't move anything in a room. Anytime, even in an arson, even if it isn't any kind of fatality that happens. I don't know about the transport. It baffles me that it's not mentioned anywhere. You're right. I haven't seen it anywhere. And I don't think even like Meow and, the people that are really into everything, really onto this case, no one has mentioned being able to see that or understand that. I can't understand that. Someone has to make me understand that. Doug Carter, if you watch the live stream, Soup, tell me, explain it to me, because I can't wrap my head around that. So let's say you have them and you bring them out and you work them and you realize, okay, this isn't happening. you leave everyone right there where they are, and you explain to the police, hey, we pulled them out. We thought, we tried, we made a go at it. We were unsuccessful. So we kept them right here. What if there's people looking around? Well, there's 4 dead little girls. Everyone back the fuck up. You're backing up blocks. If I need to back you up blocks, I will back you up blocks. You could put sheets, you could put tarps. There's many things you can do because there are sick people that go out there and want to see stuff like this. And I was just saying to a guy the other day, I don't want to see another drop of blood, another car wreck, nothing. I don't want to see it. When you're young, there's kind of an interest to it. And you're like your first time, and then you get used to it. And then at some point you don't get used to it anymore. You just, I always say this, firemen are like a carbon monoxide detector. And here's how the carbon monoxide detector works. You have a disc inside there, and that collects carbon monoxide, that disc. Over time, once that disc gets filled up with carbon monoxide, it's over. You have to throw the detector away. It isn't good anymore. You can't take it out and clean it off. So it served its purpose. It's lived its life. My disc is pretty full. I'm ready to go into something else in a job that's not no bells, no whistles, no blood, no guts, no nothing like that. So some guys detector disc is like this big. Mine might be this big. They could take it. Some can. Okay, see it. Look it. Take some with you. Okay, good. See ya. Eat my burrito tacos. Okay. But once you get filled up, you get kind of got to move on. You know what I mean? But I can't explain why they moved them. I have no idea. I'd love to. Can you do a citizen's arrest? Ruckus, can we do a citizen's arrest? Maybe draw them out. Maybe have them on the show. Hey, come on. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. I'll say it. But I don't see it. I don't see it. Everyone's pretty quiet. Everyone's pretty hush hush. Yeah. Well, you know what though? As I mentioned many months ago in one of Steve's lives, the fireman coffee's better. You come in a fire station, you're having some, as they say in Pulp Fiction, some gourmet shit. Cops will drink anything hot and black. I've seen it. They have stuff that they call coffee they get from gas stations. No, the firemen, we're a little more picky. We have more time on our hands, so we can go get the good shit. I work with a deputy tomorrow. He grinds beans. He has his own beans he grinds. We don't mess around, man. It smells like Starbucks in the kitchen. Well, that sounds like a family for sure. Oh no, Ruckus, it's 2023. We could say cops can do whatever they want now. I like my coffee hot and black. I make no qualms about that at all. I've seen cops that drink stuff that they would come in the station at 3 a.m. and this coffee would be so thick you could cut it with a knife. I need something. I need coffee. Well, here you go. It kind of came out syrupy, and they wolf it down, and back in their patrol cars they go. Yeah, true way. What we got here, Ruckus? Yeah, I agree. So anyways, this is all beyond bizarre. Again, not any reports. If anyone can find it, please send it to me. I'd like to know how they were transported, and I'd like to know their reasoning for this. And don't tell me that bullshit temporary morgue, because it's a horrible tragedy. But in the grand scheme of things, this is not a complex incident as far as you look at it. This is a simple incident. It's a single family dwelling. Even if you have multiple houses, maybe 2 or 3, that still could be considered a simple incident. Okay. Now, if you have multiple fires, you have an arsonist. We had about 15 years ago, a kid lit 4 houses on fire. He went in one, lit it, one in the next one. They were chasing him around. That's a complex incident because you have fires that are going on and another one being lit. It's all in the same neighborhood. But so this should not be. And if you've ever seen a copy of the fire report, it looks like a 5-year-old wrote it. I mean, it's god awful. Undetermined. I don't know. I don't like it. Was like, hurry up, do it. And, it's unbelievable. So what happened? Why did the fire department not want to give information, not talk to anybody? Why are they paying for attorneys for the fire chief? The 911 tape. Meow has a good video. I don't know if it's new or not. I saw it today. I'm going to quote it here in a second. What did Ruckus say? It convinced me they had. Yeah, Ruck. I don't know. Like, if someone would propose that as at a scene, hey, let's move the body or the body. No, what are you, insane? That fire marshal would come eat my ass. Like, no, I shouldn't have said it that way, but it would chew me a new asshole. What's the matter with you? I should charge you, man. Like, you can't do that. You just ruined this investigation. And because of you, we might not find out who killed this person. That is absolutely crazy. It's something that I hope that doesn't happen when this, I think this will eventually go to court, and to say, well, after, how can we be sure? Because these dudes screwed up so much afterwards. You don't touch the room that's on fire where you think it started at. That's an irregular arson in an abandoned house. You use as little water as possible. You don't disturb that scene. You keep it as fresh as you can. Even to the point where if there's a little bit of fire burning, they'll come in there and, hey, you have your hose. Hey, wait a second. Let that, almost not let it burn a little bit, but like watch the pattern of it. So it's, again, I can't explain that to anybody. I would love to have someone explain it to me. But let's talk about the 911 tape a little bit. Ruckus wants to do another live. I'm in. What do you think, guys? Ready in for that? Always good to talk to him. I got to see you and the prof. I watched some of it today. I had that lunch meeting with somebody. But I started watching it. Prof seems like a cool dude. Is the prof smoking weed? Is that what he's doing? Because I how I feel about that. Yeah. Never come to Florida. Or I don't know if he's profs in Florida or not, but yeah. I don't know if that's what he's doing or not. I don't want to out him. He's pretty cool on tickling the ivory, I think they say. But anyways, so if you watch the town meeting, Meow has a new video up with it, and it has that town meeting. I saw it before. She kind of jazzes it up a little bit. And I've been to a lot of town meetings, and like Ruckus says, they don't play this music in the background. What they should play in some town meetings, not all, I'm not saying my town, is the if you remember the old Benny Hill, because that's that's what goes on some of it. That would be fitting here. Because it's like, hey, we're in the country, we go, well, we have a meeting here. Let's call everyone to order. And I'm not making fun of people like that live in rural counties, but like I'd like to challenge these folks to a spelling bee. Like, maybe they're good people and they're just, but they're not. You could tell that they're not, maybe they're doing their civic duty, but still, I don't know. So what William Brown, who was like kind of speaking the most at this meeting whenever they were talking about, Tom, is that what it's called? Yakety Sax. Three Stooges song works too. Yeah, I'm not much of a singer or hummer, and I can't whistle. Maybe that is what that called. Oompa Loompa. I don't like the looks of it. Yeah. All appropriate. If anyone's listening and wants to do a video like that just for fun, it might work out. You could steal my idea. I will charge you nothing for it. Promise. Okay, so William Brown, what he says is, and this is a quote, what is in those tapes being necessarily what is in those tapes, I can't read my own writing, is being necessary for prosecution. So what he's saying is what's in those tapes, and McClellan stands up and says what's in those tapes is necessary for prosecution. So is someone admitting to the arson on that tape? If not, it's been over 6 years, okay? Your shit ain't working. Maybe you should let it out. I just can't for the life of me understand that. That comment, I rewound, he couldn't have just said that. So what's in there? What's in there? And they're not covered. I don't care what they say. This is the first time I ever heard of 911 being covered with the law enforcement active investigation umbrella privilege. Because 911 is not part of law enforcement. That's been decided in many court cases. So we got here a lot of whistleblower. Yeah, the whistleblower letter for me is odd. And as soon as I read it, the first time I read it, my initial thought was a fireman wrote this. And I believe that that's true. I don't know, if anyone's put out who exactly it was, or there's theories, but clearly something being covered at the money spent. Yeah, 911. Now also with the 911, and I don't know if Dave or if it was Kid Checked Around, one of those guys were giving me some background, and I found some information. They were kind of fighting over 911 at the time, what to do, whether to have a paid staff or different things like that. So there was a lot to that. Then there was a councilman after that mentioned the Flora Fire after it happened and said, hey, you know, if we would have made these changes, that was a building code thing. That guy actually, let me step back. There was a building code thing, not a 911. There was a 911 debate. What I'm referencing is a building code thing where he said, if we had these stricter building codes, this might not have happened. A lot of people said that was distasteful, and he was using that as tragedy for as a political football, which he may or may not have been, but he also may or may not have been right. I don't know. Two things to think about there. Yeah, so we talked about the electric being cut. So what I'm looking for exactly, and this would be more, you would have, it should be, if you could get what's called their MDT or the terminal, you have like a computer screen, and it's what dispatch has, and you'll actually print out everything that's said back and forth, the time of it. Some of that information is out. So if we go back and let me put that back up here. I should have took that down. If we go back, when's the electric being cut? Is it being cut by a power company? Because it's standard. When you pull up to a working house fire, you say notify utilities. So you're getting gas, electric, water, whatever, everything they're going to send unless you don't need it. And they're going to come security utilities because you can't always do that. You can't get to that right away. And you want to make sure. So they just cut it off from the outside and they'll let you know. And there'll be an announcement made over the scene and over the air that says, hey, power's cut. For us, it's Duquesne Light. Duquesne Light is here, power's off. So now you could, okay, I could trust the power's off. Not just some dude that, oh, I think the power's off. I shut the breakers off. And no, they pulled the meter to the house. Or the gas company or water company comes and they shut the water off at the curb. You see the big keys. I assume Indiana has the same thing, although their water lines are probably a lot more rural. So, yeah. And is it being cut before? Or as one of the persons that have been suspected in this case have said and bragged about was stuffing things in the electrical box. I've seen that before where people try to make it look electrical. And there's ways that you can do that. And if you had really good investigators investigating, they would find it out, which didn't appear to be the case initially here. But from what I could tell, that wasn't the case here because it appears to me through my research and different things that I've seen that outside, that fire was started in that outside storage mudroom area, the single point of origin for the fire. Accelerant found, yeah, seems like there was accelerant found there, not around the house. So again, you know, oh man, it's just that meeting. You watch the meeting, and I'm big in the body language and the way people are sitting and stuff like that. So I'm trying to catch up on the things here on the comments because this is a question and answer. I only wrote a couple of things right down. Ruckus will be right back. Frosty, yeah, I saw it's cut on the side of the house anyhow. Electric box cord. Yeah, that could happen from the power company. It should happen from the power company. We had a guy that I worked with. He retired about 10 or 11 years ago, Bruce. He was an electrician. He would pull meters. And he told me once, never, ever do this. Let the light company do it. And then he would go do it. But he was an electrician. And I don't know. That guy's been shocked so many times. I don't think he could even get hurt. But you should let them do that. So that is a standard practice. They shouldn't be cutting them. You shouldn't see them cut. In rare cases, they'll cut them from the line. I've seen that before when we had to set our ladder up or our stick, and there's power lines there, and we really need to use it. And it's a situation that no matter where we park, we can't use it. I've seen them kill power lines and give us the thumbs up, and guys reach over their head with bolt cutters and cut them lines to get the stick up. But that's extremely rare. But every house fire almost, if there's power to the house, they're going to come and they're going to cut power lines. Jinx sent me an email. I'll check it out when we get off here. Now, once didn't want to release and supposedly was a person heard on it. Yeah, I heard a lot. At least I heard a lot of different rumors. And one of them was like a racial slur or something like that. And I'm not saying that's true because I don't know, but if that's the case, there could be some civil rights violations here, in my opinion. I'm no law dog, but driveway, not alley. Yeah, Frosty, you got any pictures of that? Send it to me because I could be able to tell. Now, if someone cut through them, they would have been laying out in the street, even a service line to a house, because they would have been electrocuted. Remember, electrocuted means you die. Shock means you walk away from it. Oh, during hurricanes. Well, we've had some high winds here in PA. I've never been in a hurricane yet here or anything like that. But that makes sense to me too. That's a smart thing, because one of the things, and Frosty asked me maybe sometime about a hurricane show, we would teach that. We have a fire trailer. One of the things in there, we fill it with smoke. It teaches you to crawl out. The door gets hot. You fill it with the back of your hands. A great piece of teaching equipment. One of the things we can do is hit a switch in the mini blinds shake, and there's lightning outside and there's rumble, and it's a tornado. What do you do in a tornado? And I've never been in one, knock on wood, but you go basement of the house, lower level of the house. If you don't have a basement, interior wall. You get an interior wall in a corner, or in a doorway. Doorways are actually the strongest area of that house, believe it or not. If you would stand in there, because you have not necessarily a bulk. Some places have bulkheads, but we're always taught if stuff's collapsing, if you can get to a doorway and try to have that extra around you, that's a good thing. Away from windows, obviously. Some people like to go under tables and stuff. And I understand that. You don't want stuff to fall on your head. But just keep in mind, too, you want to survive the tornado or the hurricane, but you also want to be able to get out if you do lose your house and if you have to get out. And if you get out, a lot of people, I'm not saying it, probably more than half, might even be higher, actually get killed after stepping on power lines, going out of their house, falling down, getting stuck, things like that. So I know that Frank's in the chat tonight. Frank Meister was talking about the weather and the tornadoes that they had. And he said, hey, I'm okay. I'm safe. Let everyone know. So, man, be careful if you're going out, because especially you don't have power. So it's night. It's very easy to step on power lines, unfortunately. Okay. Yeah. If what you had on there was going to lead to an arrest, I think we would have had an arrest already if it was that blatant. But I'll tell you this, I think it's going to come out. I don't know how, but there's so much pressure. We got that dash cam kind of out of the blue, right? Why? If there wasn't this many people talking about this case, it wouldn't happen. And I'm a drop in a bucket of all this. Let's not be mistaken. But just the momentum that's been picked up by people that are working on this case. Now the bigger YouTube channels and other people are picking it up. And these news stations, your Fox 59, your 13 Investigates, they do a fantastic job out there. Yeah, and it's still being appealed. So at some point, and I don't vote out there, but if the voters are like, look, you want us to vote you in, we need to understand where this is coming. Yeah, I heard that too, Truth, Justice. So is the power being cut? How's the power being cut? Or are they attacking the electrical system somehow? Are they somehow attacking the electrical system and lighting a fire, which in newer homes, when anything's overloaded, you'll get breakers kick off. Even if it's water, you have what's called GFIs, or ground fault interrupters. Those are little plugs with a button that sticks out. And when that pops out, that means that was exposed to water and it kicked off, saving any kind of extended current or keep going through it. Because in the past, you would drop a hairdryer or something in a bathtub, it would just arc. It would just keep going off. So there's just so much. I want to cover all that too. Monticello, and there's so many other just the minor death rate caused in fires in Carroll County. Meow has this number. It was like 153% above the nat. It was some crazy. Actually, probably was more than that. I think that they had 18 or something in a 5-year period, and the average in that for that demographic would be 1. And yeah. It could be. Anything's possible out there, but there's something that they don't want people. There's something that they don't want people to know, whether it makes everyone look bad or whatever. But the longer it goes on, the worse it's going to make everyone involved out there look. What else do we got? Let me put some context. I can't believe they spent. Yeah, well, Jinx is saying 30 grand. Probably, who knows now if they're even telling us anymore. Make their own decisions. Agreed. Yeah, Frosty. I try to have nicknames for everybody. We all had nicknames for ourselves growing up. We'll answer everybody's questions. See what we got. Sure, I think we have drone photos higher up. Yeah, anything like that. I just want to see, you know, because what you should see is it disconnected from the drop. So what you have from the main power line, if you have power lines running down the street, I'm in an older area, so all of our power lines are above ground. Newer areas, they're underneath ground now. You don't see them a lot, which is when there's car wrecks, could be risky for firemen because you don't know they're there. At least when they're above ground, and I've seen 100 times, you know, they're on the ground, you clear, oh shit, don't get close to it, you know, that type of stuff. But they should be disconnecting it from the drop out in the street. So if the house is so ravaged with fire that they can't get to the meter, they'll go to your meter and they'll actually pull that meter out and you won't have any power to the house. If the house is that bad, they can go to the drop from the street and cut it. Now, I don't know which side of the house the power was on. I would guess it was on the right side in that front corner. But again, Indiana might do things differently, like when we do here in PA. I could look at a house and in a certain neighborhood in where I live in my district, I can almost say, oh, that I know where that water line is and I know where the gas line. They're pretty close to each other. They'll share usually holes. You know, they'll come in the same hole. Although it's supposed to be one supposed to be lower than the other, and higher than the other, and that type of stuff. But I would love to see that for sure. Yeah, and again, it's been so long now. They might have went back and cleaned that up. But anything like right after the fire, or even at night, I have pictures too. I have to really pay attention. Maybe I can zoom in. Upshaw agrees with Lisa. Yeah, it seems to be that way. Jinx likes your videos. Frosty, I think we all do. They're good. Excellent work. So many people in the past have died in hurricanes. Oh, yeah. That's smart, Dave. You know what I mean? Because you're kind of controlling that. Then you could cut down the fire threat. Because obviously during a hurricane, if something catches on fire, you're not going to send, the first responders aren't going out there. Our rule is number one, protect ourselves, protect our crew, and then protect everyone else. That's just what they teach us. So that's a good thing to do. And then you know what, too? People know going in, hey, we're going to lose power at 10 o'clock on Friday and the hurricane's coming. So you could kind of plan for it as opposed to, I wonder when it's going to go out. But that, as a fireman, I think that's a good thing as far as letting fires go. Yeah. Truth, justice. I don't, yeah, I think people have gotten away with shit for a long time and are just used to having their way. Oh, geez. We had some crazy wind. Nothing like they had, like you guys had out there. We had, I think, 60-mile-an-hour gusts Saturday with like 30, 40, 20 to 40 kind of constant wind. And a lot of stuff. We had a building get blown down. It was an old building. I was reading that the unstable weather patterns. Look at that, Dave. I was just going to say that. That's what's coming. Like, man, what's causing this wind? Because I was just telling my kids, this shit was never this windy when I was a kid. I don't want to sound old, but yeah, true justice. You're right. The more you could share anything from anyone that does Flora stuff that you like, whether it's me, meow, maybe it's someone else. But whoever you like, share that on your social media. Let people know, like, hey, what is this thing you shared? Like, let me tell you about it. Because once I tell you about it, you're going to be into it. Like the guys I work with. The other thing was the air pack straps. Okay. So let's talk about the air pack straps. So Drew Yoder grabs a mask from the Flora Fire Department. Drew Yoder's a volunteer fireman, not at Flora. Drew Yoder, before he goes to the fire department, he calls for help from a mutual aid fire department next door. And you guys might be like, oh, so what's the big deal? That's a huge deal, especially in the volunteer fire department world where they still have their fiefdom. We have it like this, Commonwealths, states of Indiana, places like that. It's kind of the lowest common denominator rules the day, right? So the local government has more power than a federal government in theory, in almost every issue, almost. That's the way it's supposed to be. But that pissed those guys off. I guarantee you that pissed those guys off to high hell. But here's a guy that's going in and out, doesn't know, obviously has a relationship with the girls in Galen. Like they know each other. That's what I mean by relationship. Always waved to the girls. Girl was always waved to him. And from what I'm, told, Galen really liked him. They liked each other. There was no kind of relationship or anything like that, but just nice seeing you. How are you? He always talked to her, and some other people I think in town maybe felt her less than home. made her feel less than home, but he was always like a cool guy, respect. Hey, how you doing? The kids waved. So he went above and beyond because he knew them. He saw those kids playing in the yard all the time, waving. They lived on Main Street, waved to everybody, just happy, smiling. And I could have a bad day and you ride past a bunch of kids playing. Well, it can't be that bad, can it? Maybe you'll harken back to a good memory when you were a kid. Hey, remember when I wasn't all pissed off when I was a kid? So don't walk around pissed off. There's always something to feel good about. But anyways, so they said that the accelerant they smelled, again, this is not written anywhere, but this was a written response that I have to explain how the gear, the straps had accelerant from the previous fire, and it was still on there. That didn't catch on fire. I've never heard of such nonsense in my life. You could soak that in gasoline. I'm not saying diesel fuel, but gasoline, and go in that house, and it would take a whole lot for that to off gas and to actually catch on fire. And again, if you see the air pack, which I haven't seen it yet, is it burnt? So I don't know. I don't know where that came from. Could he have crawled into something? Sure. I don't know. But accelerant wise, it doesn't make any sense to me that would be on there. And especially if the only accelerants we believe were in the back mudroom, which he was never at. Now, could you have went into the house? Could there have been a bottle or a container of nail polish or an acetate sitting on a table that when it got so hot, when that guy punched the window out, when it got so hot, it exploded? That happens. Absolutely, that happens. And there's times where a less educated investigator might think, oh, there's accelerant everywhere. There's accelerant everywhere. But you could tell by the way that the fire develops. Like, well, you have a hot fire, and then there's like a space, and then boom, hot fire. Well, there it would be hot fire all the way across. So maybe it did catch something on fire. Maybe that's why a less seasoned investigator or someone was looking for an easy way out could say, oh, look, there's more over here. And these guys that were more skilled were able to say, no. I know that's just a theory. I'm not saying that that's what happened, but you something like that could happen. Lipsha serial arsonist. Yeah, I tell you what, I'm hesitant to say that there is a serial arsonist. However, Lipsha, there's more than some evidence that would agree with what you're saying. I'll just say that. That's something I'm still working on. I said a bunch of stuff to Meow about that a while back, and I'll tell you what, it's more than a little odd. I'll say that. And like serial killers, arsonists have a modus operandi. They have a reason for it. Do they have signatures? Yeah. So they could go in and light this house on fire, but they got to do some weird ritualistic shit because the way their brain works. And that fascinates me. And you can look at that weird ritualistic shit if there's any evidence of it's left because you're burning everything and everything's kind of burning up. But you could look at that evidence and say, wow, this guy is doing this because of, and you go over here and then you like, okay, it's going to be this kind of person. But that's all very interesting to me. Asking Jinx, are you in Tornado Alley? I hope not, Jinx. Edge of Lafayette. Is that Tornado Alley? Close to Delphi. Oh, cool. I work tomorrow. So hopefully it's supposed to be nice here, which is good. Well, it's not good for us. It's really bad for our police. Them guys are getting taxed. Guys and girls are getting taxed to the limit. And usually what's saying around here is sun's out, guns out. And that's not about your arms. Truth, justice, and Lipshy. I don't disagree with you. I know that might be a little, people might be a little a barometer. People might be a little hesitant to that, but yeah, okay, Ruck, take care. Keep healing that shoulder, and I'll definitely get with you again. Always have a good time with Ruckus, his channel or mine. I like his perspective too, and he's like me too. And I talked at the beginning of this video where people, hey, I don't like this one or that one. Man, unless someone does something to me or does something like especially heinous, like, we could get information, we're okay. And if I think your heart's in the right place, everybody's telling Ruckus bye. Everybody likes Ruckus. Yeah, I'm trying to Discord frosty, and I'm not doing too good. I'm going to actually ask my kids maybe tonight because guys are talking about barometer. Anything else flora wise, or a couple of things that I want to talk about just real quick here. We're coming up, we're a little bit over an hour, which ain't the end of the world. So we talked before, and I talked a little bit about it on Rick Snae's live. If you didn't see that, it's a really good panel. We had one for about 2.5 hours. I think you had a bunch. Frost was there, Frosty, Ruckus, Meow, Greeno, myself. I hope I'm not forget. Oh, Kathy. There's a bunch of people on there. She's good friends with Galen still. Good friends with Galen. So we were able to talk a long time about stuff. And some of the things that we talked about was, so when an incident commander or the boss, as we call him, or deputy chief or captain gets there, what they do, one of the things they have to do is do what's called a 360. And you walk around the entire house that's on fire. Now, if a city block's burning, that's going to be hard to do. But if it's just a house, you're able to walk around. Here's what you do that for. You're looking for anything that's crazily out of place. Someone hanging out the window in the back. If you don't walk around at the beginning of that fire and see if anyone's back there and they're hanging out that window, you failed at your job. You also want to see the fire development and growth. If the front's on fire, is the back on fire, or is it just the front? If the back's on fire, I'm going to bring that hose in from the back, because we want to attack from the unburnt side and push the fire out. That causes less damage, and you should be able, you're not going to walk in the front door if the whole front's on fire. It's not how it works. So they're doing that. They're looking for utilities too. If they can shut off utilities real quick or something like that, or they notice a problem or structural soundness of the building. Hey, I'm seeing some things. I'm hearing, nails ripping out. So that's what they need to do. So did the fire chief at the scene do that? It doesn't sound like it. It sounded like he stood there and stared at Galen, stared at the house. And they said Galen lied about that. Oh, that's not what happened. Well, the 911 tape determined that was the truth, that what she said. So everything that they said about her so far, this and that, and to me, it's been all bullshit. So I believe what she's saying and what she says and how she feels. Yeah, and again, the computer guy, I don't know who that is, but again, if I only work on computers, like I could tell you how to open a hydrant, I could tell you how to throw a ladder. You could do something here. You could do something, and you're in the station at 2:30 in the morning. What are you doing there? Working on computers at 2 o'clock in the morning? Is that possible? It's possible, but But did Yoder know him? Because he said, "Oh, I'm the computer guy." Well, yeah, I know, but and then as soon as the others that you see that volunteer coming by, he has his lights on as Drew's going back to the scene. Now, does that guy come alone? Because Randall's already there. Adam Randall's already there. And he's just, I can't say what he's doing because we don't have that communication from fireman to fireman. Well, you'll get his direct orders. That's all written up on paper somewhere. Hey, in our situation, we're station 190. What you'll hear is 190 command and 190 engine. Catch the plug at Huey and 9th. Knock on wood, that doesn't happen tomorrow, or you know what I mean, or whatever the case is. And then you can at least, hey, I understand this is what they were trying to do, but to not even release that. I mean, as a fire department, you don't want to defend yourself. No. Listen, here's what we did. We did everything by the book. But in this case, nothing appears to be done by the book. Porch guy. Who was porch guy? Sure if I know what that is. At what point Erskine does come up, you see him there, and for the people that hey, people have crazy theories about Delphi and Flora. Well, listen, the dude who supposedly was on the search team that found the girls in Delphi is standing in front of the camera in Flora. So I can't fault people for drawing that conclusion. I know it's a rural town, small town, and I don't really know what it's like there because I've never grown up in the inner city. I'm an inner city guy. But I don't know. And again, me and Ruckus think he might have been that guy that came up, might have been meat doing some meat gazing, but I don't know. Yeah. But what time on the porch? You gotta let me know that. Yeah. I mean, I don't mess around. Kathy, everybody was good there. I thought that was really good. Challenging each other. That's how it gets done. It's like a good basketball team in practice. They get after each other. There might be a scrap here or there because guys or girls are getting after it, and that's what you want to do. Working on that, figure it out. Yeah, Meow does well all the time. Smart. Yeah. Smarter than me. Well, hopefully Meow reads these. Got some great comments about her. Hopefully do something again like that too. Maybe the same panel or slightly different or whatever the case may be. Anyone that wants me to come up, for the most part, I'm good. Yeah, Lipsy, the gold standard. You're right. The gatekeeper of the document. She sent me so much stuff. I've had a lot of people. I've been fortunate enough that would send me stuff locally. Meow sent me a ton. A lot of it through her research. A lot of it from Galen. Yeah, well, that's okay, Dave. You're smarter than me too. So we're not. You're not an exclusive club. Kristen, yeah, I catch some of her stuff. I watched early on some of her Delphi stuff. And then just kind of went down different rabbit holes with other places. And then I would always see True Crime Steve always talking about it. He'd be on her. And she has a lot of passion for sure. Check her out. I'd love to, if she ever wanted me on. Frosty's very good. Frosty has a sports YouTube. I got to check that out, or a sports podcast. I have to check that out too. Hopefully I make the second round of interviews. I had an interview last week for another high school coaching job, head coach. We'll see. Astronomy professor. Well, you're smarter than me if you ever took astronomy, because in McKeesport High School, we ain't have that. In ninth grade, I took consumer math. The first 6 weeks was them showing you how to use a calculator, because they were like, listen, you guys ain't never going to be able to figure this here math thing out. So what we're going to do is show you how to use a calculator to figure out this is 25% off. How do you do that? I still use a calculator to figure that out. It works. Yeah, True Justice, how long you been around? If I subscribe to you or not. If not, I will. Subscribe, like videos. It's good for the algorithm. If you can like this video or share it, or anybody that's a Flora. If you don't like my content or you like Meow, you rather share hers. Share it on your social media. Share it on your Twitter. Let people see it. Well, Dave, I don't know if you looked at my video, if you watched that entire video, my hand's extended to them. You don't have to carry it anymore. We could talk more about that privately, but if they are, it's things happen. Like there could be someone that's totally innocent in this that gave everything they had that day, that knows, but they, no one ever asked them, so they never ever came forward, and maybe I'm covering them doing the right thing. And they talk about the thin blue line. There's a thin red line too. If guys in the department, you want to look out for them, but like someone comes over hung over or something, you pour coffee down their throat, or you tell them to go to hell home, come back in 2 hours. This is different. This is different. Yeah, you know what? Let me think about it a little bit. I definitely want to see. Man, it's been so long. It has been so long. I don't even know what would be good. Any kind of take pictures of the actual power lines away from the house where it looked like the drop was. If I think of anything else, I'll message you. But just anything you want to send me, I'll check out, because I've been on this now probably researching myself probably since September of last year. I started YouTube in January, and I'll go back and look at everything I have. Yeah, be careful, Frosty. If there's weather, you could wait. Oh, Jinx, I don't know if that was him or not. I can't say that was him. If I had to guess, I would say no, because he's walking around without an air pack on. He's from another department. I would think that the guys that were on the porch were the guys that were actually, doing what they were doing. And you see the one guy pull Yoder out initially. And there was maybe 3 or 4 guys working, and maybe a bunch 15 or 20 other guys just kind of I'm not sure. That's not uncommon at fires, and I'm not knocking volunteers at all. But some of those guys are, they're not able to do it anymore. They could drive, they could do different things, but they're just kind of hanging out, But I can't say for sure that was him or not. If I had to guess, I'd say no, that wasn't him. Thoughts why Dennis Randall brought out cash from the house. Well, I'm not sure what table it would be. He would actually, if there was cash, someone would have turned that over, and he probably would have been the guy that would take it and voucher it, unless the police would do that. But with him, I don't know. I would not put anything past any of that. Yeah, I saw that Bobby Knight, man. He was some people liked him, some people don't. I had a coach that he wasn't like would scream as much as Coach Knight, but he always talked about Coach Knight, and what he would say, what the players said is, don't, once the MFing is over and I'm going to run you till you die, once you quit listening to that, when he tells you what to do, when he tells you to jab step and to rub your shoulder off the guy's hip when you come through a screen, like that's forever basketball. And you look at the guys, the Isaiah Thomases and all those guys that came back that love him, that tough love. That's how Coach Knight, that's all he knew. That's what he grew. And the times kind of passed him by. I hate to say it, but I loved the Shark, Jerry Tarkanian. Thank you, Jinx. Hopefully I get a second interview. There's actually an assistant that used to work at UMass that's going for this job too. He has a little better. Oh yeah, the chairs. Yep. I always share that on my Facebook. I have the anniversary of it. Shared, liked, and subbed. Excellent. Okay. Anything you have, Truth Justice, my email is on my page. It's kevlar148@hotmail. I look forward to people send me stuff about other cases too, and I've looked into them. I'm just so focused on this right now, but anything that anybody wants to talk. Yeah, that would be cool. That'd be a fundraiser. Have a fundraiser. You come out and throw a chair on the court under the hoop, the same hoop. Is that still Assembly Hall? I don't think they have Assembly Hall anymore. Maybe they do. Oh, Coach Knight had some distance on his throw. Oh, we got a lot of Indiana people out there. Don't throw any potted plants at your secretary. Yeah, you know what, Dave? I have someone that's reaching out for me to Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee is from Plum. I'm from McKeesport. We were in the same conference. It's about a half an hour, 35-minute drive, and I know that he came forward with Delphi with Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, and I have someone that knows a friend of a friend that just not necessarily any money or anything like that, but just put something out, maybe share a tweet. He was just on WrestleMania. If you're a wrestling fan. So, Colts organization. Frosty, I'm reading your thing here. Yeah, I get it. But, it's tough. And I understand where they're coming from. I get it. They could donate the reward fund, which that was an ongoing issue where the fire department was going to get it. And the last that I heard, it was left that they didn't get it. It was kept up there. I'd love someone to come forward. You know what? If it takes the reward money to come forward, then fine. That's what it's there for. Hey, I'll tell you what happened if you give me 50 grand. Well, if we could corroborate this and put someone in jail and you want to do it for 50 grand, fine. Here's 50 grand. You would hope someone would just do it to be a good human, but if we get resolution at the end. Thank you, Frosty. If you can, post a link in here for your sports thing. I don't know if it's a YouTube or not. I agree. So I just said, truth, justice. especially it's from a celebrity. In my opinion, did the time spent rescuing Yoder detain a possible rescue of the girls? No, because they weren't in that position. There was nobody there yet. So I call bullshit on that. I don't believe that slowed them down, because if you look, they initially, Yoder's in there, goes to the fire department, comes back. And as I said before, as a general rule, an unchecked fire doubles in size every minute, roughly, rule of thumb. So you're talking this fire is 4 times as big. And you can see when he comes back, they can't walk in anymore. I believe at that point that the girls had already perished, or soon after that. They all, well, not all, but you know, as you get out, there's one that was worked, maybe 2. But at that point, I don't think, let's put it this way, I don't think that all 4 girls could have been saved at that point. If they would have been there, if the fire department would have been there when Yoder was there, when they were there initially, when Dissinger was there. And listen, police always get there first because they're on patrol most of the time, especially in a city where I'm from. But they're on patrol, so they're in their car. So they usually get there first, so they give us an update. But if they would have arrived 2 or 3 minutes, maybe if that fire's at 4 in the afternoon, maybe if the guy that works on computers can drive the truck, I don't know. But Yoder can have an air pack there if that truck was there. And he was the only person, and again, Dissinger appears to be in there, but I don't really know what he's doing. I could hear what Yoder's doing. I could hear his air pack. I could hear his alarm, so I could kind of tell what he's doing. I could follow him in the house. I could see him on his back on the steps with his right angle light pointing up in some kind of distress. And right after you hear the alarm, I believe there's 2 alarms going off. One of them is for non-movement, and one of them is for low air. So when you lose air in a fire, even though you're taught not to do this, taught to hold your breath as long as possible, when you suck, there's no air. That sticks to your face. You instantly, out of instinct, kind of pull it off. That could have been what happened. As soon as you do that, boom, you suck this couple big gulps of that smoke in, and it puts you out, and then burn it. You burn inside, basically, your throat and things like that. But I don't think so. In my honest opinion, Kennedy, I think that the time, and you saw how fast when they put water on that fire, it went out immediately. So every town says they cannot afford a paid fire department. And by paid, maybe you just have 2 guys working, a driver and a seat man. If you have a driver and a seat man that are in that station on duty, okay, and you pay them whatever you pay them or however the hell you do it, you figure it out. That would have been a kitchen fire at most. Your girls might have had some smoke that they would have had to, get checked out for, but no, I don't think so. Yoder was the only one that I saw doing anything. Adam Randall was there. He was there while all this shit was going on, and he didn't do anything. Unless they want to show me on his reports or in his communications with what he was doing, I don't think he was doing anything. Galen said he was staring at her. That's what he was doing. So he wasn't being a chief. He wasn't helping. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know. He want to come on? Dad want to come on? I'll gladly talk to you on or off air. You could explain it to me, but you have to explain it to me because all I see is bullshit. I'm sorry. I hate to come down on another fireman or things like that, but and again, Kennedy, that's my opinion, and without having all the information. But I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure I'm going to be right on that. True, absolutely. Anything you have, anything anyone has, I'll take it. Oh, no way! There you go. Okay. Frost is going to put up his sports podcast, and I'm going to get ready to get off here because there's a basketball game coming on pretty soon. Truth, justice. Good point here. I don't understand that. That's to me, that's absolutely insane. Let me tell you something. Let me be very clear. If you think you need a fireman or a policeman, call 911 immediately. Get them started. We go to calls every day. We go to calls every day where, hey, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have called you. No, we're glad you called. because the other 9 calls that we get are like this. But that one where that person calls early, they saved their house. They saved their neighbor's house. They saved people's lives because they called right away. So what? So what? It's middle of the night. My CO alarm goes off. They never go off. The batteries never go bad and smoke the CO alarms during the day. They always go bad at 4 in the morning. So we get up and we go, oh, God, what it was. Oh, it's another best CO alarm. Here we are out of bed. But that person is so happy to know that they can go back to sleep. Are you guys sure? Yeah, this is 5 or 7 years old. We ran our meter. You're good. Thank you. I'll go get one tomorrow. So, yeah, it is worth it. I'm going to finish up these questions and get on out of here. Delay 911 call. Yeah, Kennedy, there's a lot to be explained there. 6 minutes to wait. You call the landlord, and the landlord's coming over. That's my property, and I know the people in it. I'm calling 911 on the way over. I mean, I don't know. There's also been talk that they might have punted that call around a little bit, but I have no proof of that. Yeah, the only thing, Jinx, is initially in the middle of the night, you don't get a lot of calls. But once the police start showing up, you'll get an update. If it's 2 or 3 in the afternoon, you'll get multiple. But it's hard for me to think that too, even at the 6-minute mark. Because when people might have been sitting there like, where the hell are they at? Where the hell are they at? Did anyone call? I think, did you call what you call? And then you might have started getting a flood of calls. Dave's going for UConn. I like the underdog with the points tonight. I got it 7.5. I think it fell to 6.5. Very small bet. 6 minutes. So we just said a fire. So that's 6 times the size it was, roughly, unchecked. Roughly. Think about that. Yeah, you're 30 seconds away. Even in the middle of the night, guys are sleeping in their bunk room. They're on scene of that fire within 2 minutes of the alarm. And so just imagine, add all this together now. 6-minute 911 call. Let's say they call it after a minute. They call airs a minute later. That's 5 minutes there. Let's say you had 2 guys in the station. It's going to save you probably 8 or 9 more minutes. So that's 15 minutes. They could have been there 15 minutes sooner if things would have been different. 15 minutes. I mean, you might put that goddamn fire out with a water can. Oh, it's frustrating. I'll tell you, it is frustrating. Yep, landlords never call, which is obscene to me. Absolutely crazy. Elizabeth, yeah. 2 911 calls. I'm not shocked that there isn't. I have never heard an exact number. There could be 4 or 5. I believe you, Lisa. But the one, I guess, whatever one they're talking about is, I don't know what's on it. But again, you watch that video, Meow has it. But hey, guys, we are at the 122 mark, and I'm going to get ready to get out of here. If you think of something later, or I didn't answer something, or I missed you, I skipped you, I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's digital, 100%. No, I don't think you can lose that. That stuff is like that stuff's probably quadruply backed up. Yeah, they have that. You actually, real quick story before I leave. There's a guy I work with now. My cat, he's a great guy. Well, he worked on an ambulance, and he pulled up in one of the bad areas, and they just started throwing beer bottles at him at his ambulance. So he kind of lost it on the radio, and these son of a bitch guys, they're throwing goddamn beer bottles at our fucking ambulance. What the hell? So he's really frustrated. Well, later on, one of our other guys who's technologically savvy was able to get the digital recording and put it on his phone, and it was the ringer when this guy called him. It started playing that. So yeah, that's digital, and that was back in like 2006. But thank you, Dave. Frosty's going San Diego State. Yeah, message, please, everyone. Message. Jinx, thank you. Thanks for everyone that talked tonight. Thank you, Dave. I'm going to go San Diego State with the points. Not a big bet at all. Maybe like $15, which isn't big to me. Thank you, Truth Justice. Kevlar148@hotmail.com. It is on my page on YouTube. Anything you got, crazy or not, man, because, if you have a good heart, I'll listen to what you have to say. We might disagree on a lot of stuff or whatever, but if you're coming from the right place, that's all that really matters to me. So share this, like this, share other people's content on Flora. Whenever anyone's on YouTube or on Facebook or Reddit, hey, any new cases I should cover? Flora, let me tell you what happened in Flora. And you tell people a couple things, and they're like, get the hell out of here. I don't believe you. And then they read like, holy shit, this is right. So anyways, I appreciate everybody tonight. If you have any more questions, leave them in here. I'll get to you when I can. Have a sip of Turner's tea. We didn't say tentacles tonight, so we'll say tentacles. So everyone drink. One of Doug Carter's favorite words. And I will see everybody soon. I'm not sure what I have coming up next, but I definitely want to work, look for me with Ruckus again, another panel. Follow Ruckus Frosty, Meow, Kristen, as someone mentioned today. A lot of good people out there covering stuff. I like a lot of Rick's stuff, Snay, tons of people. Whoever you like, follow them and spread the word about Flora. Enjoy the basketball game tonight. Everybody stay safe if there's more severe weather. And I will talk to everybody soon. Coach Kev, out.